Yes, I have.
Just want to let you know, I tried calling you back, that's all.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Tracy.
Hello, everyone.
Tracy.
Brenda.
Tracy and Brenda.
What were we thanking Jason for? I heard something about Jason saying thank you. What was that for?
Because I returned his phone calls,
Oh,
but I left him voicemails.
oh, okay.
I ain't going there.
Hey, Charlie.
Good evening. How are you?
Doing well.
Nice to see you.
You too.
It'll be nice when we all can get together again.
Yeah, that's true.
Will be. I'm looking forward to that. Been a long haul with this thing.
Yep.
When it happens, it'll happen very quickly. 1 week we'll be under state of emergency and the next week we'll have to scurry to start meeting in person.
Let's hope it won't be in the new town hall, our first meeting.
That's good and bad.
I don't think it's going to be that long.
That's what I mean. Even though there would be a certain amount of significance to that.
This declaration of emergency has been so long, I think I'm almost forgetting that at some point in time, I'm going to have to release that too. And we have no presentations tonight as well. Is that correct?
We have at least two, one through the EOP and the other one. Barbie, can you remind me?
That's under EOP though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's under, okay.
Oh,
So-
presentations.
Demas.
No,
That's
no
Demas.
presentations.
Nothing under G, correct?
Correct.
No.
Sorry.
No problem.
Melody, this is Nick. Do you by chance happen to have the email from Matt Hubert with that file on it? It's not a Razorfish as of yet.
Okay. I'll add it in there real quick.
Okay, looks like we've got everybody on. Let's get this started. It's 6:30, Board of Commissioners regular meeting, Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. Before we call this meeting to order, the town clerk is going to read into the record a statement on logistics. So Melody, I'm going to turn it over to you and you can take the roll call as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I just wanted to go over a couple logistics for those participants who may not be very familiar with Zoom. Your main controls are on the lower left-hand side of your computer screen. Please make sure to keep your camera on and to mute yourself when you're not talking. With regards to how board members are going to participate in the meeting, the mayor will call on each of you individually to provide comments and votes. Please remember that when you're voting, to remember to identify yourselves by stating your name and your vote. If you would like to speak at any point during the meeting, please raise your hand and be mindful of your background. If we are in the middle of a presentation and you are raising your hand but not being called on, please feel free to speak up. Most importantly, we want to make sure that board members are able to participate in this meeting fully. So if you experience any technical difficulties, please make sure to text me. Last but not least, we need to take the roll call. Please indicate if you are present. Mayor Ronald Pappas.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Brenda McMillan.
Present.
Commissioner Jason Hall,
Present.
Commissioner Ann Simpson,
Present.
Commissioner Tracy Westlake,
Present.
and Commissioner Pedro Morey.
Present.
All right, all members are present. Mayor, I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
Great, thank you, Melody. Appreciate that. This meeting is now called to order. So we have our ceremonial opening. And if you would all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a brief moment of silence. All right, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Thank you, everyone. We'll move down to the adoption of the agenda tonight. Are there any changes requested to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda as published.
So moved.
All right, and we'll have a motion to approve the agenda as published from Commissioner Westlake. We're going to go roll call vote on this again as well. Mayor Pro Tem Brenda McMillan,
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Morey,
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Simpson,
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Commissioner Westlake, aye.
Very good. We're all in on the adoption of tonight's agenda as published. As I understand, there are no general public comments tonight, so we'll move down to the consent agenda. Any requests on the consent agenda, or do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as approved? Or as published, I'm sorry. Seeing none.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Very good, thank you. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as published. Roll call vote again. Mayor Pro Tem McMillan,
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Morey,
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Simpson,
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Commissioner Westlake, aye.
Outstanding. The consent agenda is approved as presented and published tonight. So we have some recognitions tonight. Guess Miss Dina is back up. We've got a couple of them on the Waxall Women's Club and the Waxhaw Team Partnership. So Dina, you're on there? I see you. So the floor is yours.
Awesome. Let me my screen. Can everyone see the presentation?
Good.
Okay, we are first going to recognize the Waxall Women's Club. So they were gracious to come out and do a beautification project with us a couple weeks ago. So on Monday, March the 22nd, they came to our community corner park and worked on our wooden picnic tables that are enjoyed by our citizens that come out to downtown Waxhaw. And I wanted to give a shout out to them because they did an awesome job. So they spent the morning with us and basically redid all of our wooden tables at the park. And I wanted to share on their accomplishments on that and looking for other community partners too, to come and play with us and make Waxhaw beautiful. So here are some of those wonderful pictures of the ladies coming out and making activity boards on the tables, and some cool little fun critters walking around on the tables as well. And I just wanted to share what a wonderful way to give back to the community. And they did an awesome job. The staff sealed them, so They're going to be great for us to enjoy on the concerts coming up this summer. And I just wanted to say thank you to the Waxhaw Women's Club for doing an awesome job and what teamwork they did to come out and help. So again, thank you to the Waxhaw Women's Club.
And again, thank you to them. That's a great effort, and it's really nice to see so much community involvement going forward. I know everybody's anxious to get outside, but this is a great event. So can thank them for all of us.
I would definitely do that. Go back and we'll go into our second. All right, and also would love to give a shout out to our one and only Park and Rec team and Public Services team. So we've had a project through the pandemic and weather, and we just had some obstacles, and they were not small obstacles, but the two teams came together and they accomplished so much where I'm just like bursting with pride for what they've done. So we had a issue with some of our railings at the construction bridge between Nesbitt and Millbridge neighborhood. And they came together with getting all the logistics, all the information, all the materials together, and doing all the background to make this project work. So again, they really rock this out, and I am super proud of them. I know Todd is as well. So I wanted to give a shout out to our Public Services and Park and Rec team. And here are some of those awesome pictures that they accomplished in 2.5 days. They've got these railings up, and it's going to take a lot to mess with these things. So they're so super sturdy, and this is just a great accomplishment for the team to do this in the time that they did it in, and their collaboration. So again, major kudos to both teams.
Yes, we'll give them a big round of applause here, because that is a major effort to see all the heavy equipment moving that stuff around and putting that up. And again, what a great feeling it is for the two teams to come together and accomplish something, get it done, another project, check the box off.
That's right.
It's getting pretty wonderful in here. So we're enjoying it. And if any of them are listening tonight, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts to put in all that effort for all of us to enjoy and all the residents to enjoy. So thank you, you guys. And Dean, I appreciate you bringing it forward.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
All right, that's a great thing. And we'll probably be seeing you later on again, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Dina, for that. We're going to move down. There's no presentations tonight. We're going to move into the public hearing realm tonight. So we do have a public hearing on the refinancing of the Waxall Police Department building. So with that, may I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Very good. We have a motion up to open the public hearing. Roll call vote around the horn. Mayor Pro Tem.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Whoops. Tracy Westlick, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Morey.
Commissioner Maury, aye.
Commissioner Simpson. One more time. You were muted.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Good, thank you. All right, we are open. We have a presentation from our town manager and our finance consultant. So Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you. You can pick it up from here.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everybody. The town has worked with our financial consultant, Davenport Public Finance, on refinancing our existing debt obligation on the police department building. We are now in step 2 of the board process for refinancing the debt. Tonight is the public hearing required to consider required prior to consideration by the North Carolina Local Government Commission. We're required to complete this public hearing and also adopt a findings resolution, which is under your new business items on this agenda. We have Mitch with Davenport here on the line, and he is available to give you a quick overview and answer any questions that you have. So I will turn this over to Mitch.
Mitch, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good to see you again and good to see everyone. Thank you for having me this evening. As Mr. Wells said, just wanted to give a quick update overview of the financing or the refinancing. This was discussed back at the town board retreat. The town has one existing loan outstanding. It's an installment financing for the police department facility. And that loan is currently held with Truist Bank, formerly SunTrust Bank. It has an interest rate of a 2.65% and a final maturity of October of 2028. Working with town staff, we distributed a request for proposal to potential lenders who would be willing to refinance that existing facility. And we received a number of responses. We received 5 responses from both regional and national banks. And the lowest interest rate that was provided was a 1.38% interest rate. So this refinancing would take the existing 2.65% and essentially cut it in half down to a 1.38% interest rate. Be no extension of the final maturity. So the final maturity would still remain October of 2028. And there would be costs associated with the financing that would be rolled into the refinancing. In total, the estimated savings are about $112,000 on the refinancing, which works out to about $12,000 to $15,000 a year. Again, those savings already account for the cost of doing the refinancing, so that's already factored in. The public hearing tonight is for a not to exceed amount of $3.8 million. We don't anticipate that we'll need that much, but we always build in a little bit of cushion into the not to exceed proposals. After the public hearing this evening, you all will have an action to consider. It's a findings resolution. It is a resolution that it is the initial resolution of town council, and it will be, among other things, making certain findings and determinations that the LGC requests. And among those are that you all want to move forward with this refinancing. That initial approval will then allow us to coordinate with the local government commission to receive their approval of the refinancing. And there will be one final approval by the town required in order to affect the refinancing. So I think with that, Jeff, unless there was anything else you'd like me to cover, Mr. Mayor, maybe I'll turn it back over to you.
Just we'll open up any questions. I'll start with one just to have an understanding on it. So this is a refinance of the 3.8 or the balance of the note right now, carrying it through. And the 3.8 includes fees and everything else rolled into it. So we're going to save about 115 grand. Do we have a rate lock on that this time? Are we able to do that?
Yes, sir. That interest rate is locked at this point in time, and it is locked for a closing by May 19th. So that is our deadline to close. So this action this evening by you all and your subsequent action, which is scheduled for April 27th, followed by local government commission approval on May 4th, will put us in a position to meet that closing deadline by May 19th, so long as there's no unforeseen circumstances that arise.
Right, that's great. That was closing was my next question. So thank you for bringing that forward. So we got Commissioner Simpson. I see your hand up there. If you will unmute yourself again, and then you can ask the question.
Sure. The question, I'm not sure if this is the right place to ask it, but there's no sort of penalty if we paid that down sooner or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Prepay?
No, ma'am. Good question. So the financing that we're looking at, the lowest interest rate was provided by Pinnacle Financial Partners, which is the old Bank of North Carolina. They merged with the Bank of North Carolina. Their proposal allows you to prepay it in whole or in part at any time. So that is not changing either. Your current loan is prepayable without penalty, and that would remain the case with this new loan.
It provides us a tremendous amount of flexibility, Ann, which is great.
Yeah, the other question I have, and I think the other loan, it was being paid quarterly or biannually. I mean, we can pay this monthly or however.
Yes, ma'am. So your existing loan, let me just double check, confirm this. Yes, ma'am. Your existing loan is paid quarterly. The new loan, in talking with town staff, will be paid on a monthly basis, which will save a little bit on interest because you're paying back principal a little more quickly.
Good to know. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks for that, Commissioner and Mitch. Any questions for our presenters tonight? Oh, Tracy, I see the hand. I'm not sure if it's, no, it's just mine on there. Sorry. Just on there. So any other questions? All right, seeing none. Mitch and Jeff, thank you very much. And we've been working on this for a little while. This is a carryover from our retreat. So it looks like it'll be very fruitful for us, save us about 112, 115 grand over the remainder term of the loan. So nice job, nice find. So thank you for all that. That's one more bucket of money, and I'll keep Dina's hands out of it for a while. How's that? So that's great. All right, well, I appreciate that, guys. Jeff, I'm going to turn it back to you for the moment. If you have anything else in closing on this matter to say.
No, I'll just add one thing, I guess. I just want to reiterate, I mean, considering the life that's left on the loan at 2028, I think $112,000 is a tremendous amount of savings for 6.5 years left on a loan. So I think this was a great opportunity to take advantage of, and greatly appreciate working with Mitch and his team to take advantage of this.
Well, thank you guys all and your staffs to bring this forward. It's just one more effort to make us in a better position than we were before. So appreciate that. Hope we can eventually roll that into another project or so along the line. So it's only 6.5 years, comes up real quick. So it's a short term. So thank you for all of that. If there are no other questions by any of the commissioners or anyone else, I'm going to then ask a motion to close the public hearing. Charlie?
Mayor, you may want to ask the clerk if there are any public comments received before the hearing, and also to give her a little talk about the ability of the public to make comments about this up to 24 hours after the close of this.
Please feel free to. Melody, if you want to augment that.
Absolutely, yeah. So no public comments have been received for this public hearing at this time. We will still be receiving public comments up until 24 hours after this public hearing, and they will be provided to the board. I think that's it.
Very good. Thank you, Melody. Charlie, thank you for the catch on that. We'll just keep on. Maybe we'll have more business to do. Maybe we might even have some closed session stuff sometime. We're going to get real excited. So that's great. All right. So with that said, if everybody understands where we are on this, I'm going to ask for a motion to close this public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Great. I have a motion from Commissioner Simpson to close the public hearing. We're going to go through roll call vote again. Mayor Pro Tem.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Tracy Westlake, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Morey.
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Standing. All right, we're closed on the public hearing. And just a reminder, as the town clerk said, there is a period after to comment on that. Commissioner Simpson, I saw your hands going all over the place. Did you have a comment?
No, I was pointing to something.
All right, very good. All right, so we'll move on down to old business. And old business, we're going to talk about the EOP. So we'll let the rest of them join us on there. We have Kevin Starnes, our fire marshal, and we're going to also have Doug Logan, who is with On Target Preparedness. So I think I'm waiting to see Kevin on the screen. I see Doug. Doug, if you want to put your picture up there, if that'll help, if you're on.
Yes, sir. I'm looking for my camera. There it is.
Good. And I see Kevin is joining us. Doug, welcome. Happy Tuesday.
Thank you very much for having us tonight.
Good. Kevin, you want to lead us down the road a little bit?
Sure. So after we brought it to the EOP to the board in the last work session, we got back into the laboratory and made some tweaks and addressed some of the concerns. So Doug has a little presentation to kind of go over those recommendations from the board, and also kind of an overview of the entire plan, and a little going to go over a little kind of how this plan will be used if something were to happen in the town, whether it's something large scale where we need to use this thing, and how we would use it and how it gets utilized. So I'll turn it back over to Doug, and he'll go through it, and then we'll talk about it after his presentation.
Very good. Thank you, Kevin. So Doug, you're up.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the board. Thank you, Kevin, and Mr. Wells and everyone else that I could address. Would like to also say that David Hesselmeyer, our company owner and CEO, is with us tonight. He's texted me a minute ago. He was able to get in on the link and join us for the presentation. So with that, I will go ahead and get started, as to not to carry us too much further. Hopefully I am. There we go. Making sure I was able to control. So you'll probably remember the next few slides very briefly from our work session. We went over the plan's organization and how it was developed throughout. So I will digress just for a few moments, just to make sure we go back over its organization. The plan itself is basically organized into 5 different sections. One, the basic plan, which is the first part of it, which gives us that snapshot of the town. Lays out your purpose and scope, and general description and organization of the town, certain assumptions that we make when we plan, general concepts of information or operations there for any incident that may occur. And one of the most important parts of the basic plan is the assignment of responsibilities, where it actually goes down and lists certain responsibilities that are placed in the hands of agencies and or personnel. The next section would be your functional annexes, that goes through the functional areas, as it says there, that are common to all your incidents. General concept of operation for each of those functions that includes your direction, control, and coordination, mass care, evacuation. All of these things can happen within multiple incidents, and you may have one or more or each of these functional areas that would need to be addressed there. We also go in to address the next section with hazard-specific annexes. So this is the area or the section that addresses certain nuances that still may be caused by any number of incidents, or incidents that may involve certain ones, but they have much larger effects that needed addressing separate there. Things such as an earthquake or a hazardous materials incident, regardless of what that incident may have been caused by when we have that. So this is your section here for that. It uses the elements of the other functional elements or annexes to manage the hierarchy or the layout of that. Your next section is your appendices, and Mr. Mayor, I heard you reference earlier that hopefully soon you'll be terminating that state of emergency that probably has been in effect now for well over a year. We're making history every day that we respond to the COVID incident. Hopefully we're making headway. Our company also works with health departments across the state. We are preparedness coordinators for many health departments, and I believe we're somewhere in the neighborhood between 20 to 25% of our citizens now have received vaccines. So we're well underway to going forward. As usual, we have a few steps forward and usually have a step or two that have to take back, but we are making progress across the state. And again, my best wishes to you to sign that template for the declaration or termination of that state of emergency. And you'll find that actually in the appendices within your EOP now. And last but not least, within the section of the glossary of the terms, as we talked about earlier, the alphabet soup that comes with the jargon, the CPG, the DRC, the EOC, the EOP. As you read through that, many places they're referenced, but here in the glossary, you will find that relative definition as it is used in the plan. So as we discussed the plan at the work session this past, well, a couple, 2-3 weeks ago, members of the board expressed some concerns that you have some very things that are somewhat specific to the town, not the least of which would be railroad incidents. And whereas it was listed as a hazard, it may not have been fully described as necessary. Civil unrest, as well as regional food shortages, were the three major areas that were discussed. To go back to the planning committee, and let's figure out a way to incorporate those into the emergency operations plan. So for the railroad incidents, the fire chief, the police chief, fire marshal, myself, and also I believe Kevin had some discussion with some of the other department heads as well as the town manager as to how to best incorporate all of these elements in there. And for the railroad incidents specifically, we added this section here. It should be in the version that you have attached to your agenda tonight. That gives us a good description of the CSX railroad and how it crosses through the town. And we're going to take a little bit of a step through the railroad or railroad incident just to give you an idea of how the EOP will work along with that. Excuse me, without adding a specific or incident related guideline for that. But this section has been added here as well as notated that railroad incidents are included as in the list of hazards that affect the town. The next one was civil unrest, though it wasn't necessarily called civil unrest. That is the general term for any type of unrest, whether it comes as a result of a protest or some other concern, a spontaneous gathering. Civil unrest could occur as a result of a large gathering that starts off great downtown, a concert or something, and have something that would kick off a larger event. In discussion with your police chief and the rest of the planning committee there, it was felt that civil unrest was best added to the list of hazards that the town affects, and that it would be included into the public safety, security, and law enforcement. Police Chief Ice expressed that he felt confident that his internal standard operating guidelines would cover that, and the other functional annexes, as we discussed earlier, would be adequate to cover the direction and control of a larger incident there. And the final concern that was expressed at the work session was a regional food shortage. And again, that was also felt that a regional food shortage is obviously going to affect much more than just the town. The county will be involved, as well as any of your neighboring jurisdictions would be there. So this was felt best added into the mass care section for emergency assisting, housing, and human services. And as you can see there, this section has been added here to outline that feeding not only includes what we typically see as one of the feeding stations that would occur following a disaster or anything, come to the Walmart parking lot and we're going to have hot meals for everybody. But this would also include regional food shortages that may occur. So this has now been addressed here in this section. So it's important to note as we looked at the various type things, how do we use the EOP? Certainly part of our contract for this project is to work with your staff and the the other members that are addressed within this to really go over a much more in depth than what we'll be allowed to do tonight. But an EOP is not intended to be an incident specific playbook, as there are literally thousands of different incidents that could occur, each of them causing several, one or more, or perhaps all of the functional annexes that are addressed in the earlier sections of the plan. Your EOP, in order to use that, it identifies your general concept of operations. Very early on in the basic plan, it establishes that you have two functional groups there: the policy group, largely consisting of the elected officials or the actual policy makers for the town, as well as legal counsel and your manager. It includes legal oversight for any of the policies that would be created, as well as anything that might have to happen kind of on the fly. May not be addressed in a general town ordinance, but there may be the possibility that the policy group would have to come together to create policy on the fly. I hesitate to use that word because we certainly don't like to create a policy with a knee-jerk reaction, but sometimes it's necessary for the group to come together. And then you have your command and control group that's identified there, which consists of the ones that are going to implement the policy. Much as you, as a town board, create your local ordinances and your town manager and your staff within the town implement that policy, the same basic procedure goes with the emergency operations plan and how that is to be pulled off the shelf to be used. Within the general concept of operation, it does identify the 4 phases of emergency management and discusses each of those. I want to take a minute and discuss the 2 that are probably the most important within this, and that is the preparedness phase. Your EOP is best used within the preparedness phase of emergency management and the overall management of disasters as they come. Because within the preparedness phase, the EOP now directs the development of standard operating guidelines, those actual procedures or that playbook for each of the incidents or each of the ways that your fire department, your police department, your parks and rec department, your engineering department, each of those are going to develop the operating guidelines as to how they're going to accomplish the policy or implement the policy that has been established here. It also directs the creation of mutual aid as needed within your neighboring jurisdictions or agency to agency within the county or even across state lines for that. And it talks about pre-planning and identification of your response needs. So this is where your EOP is going to get the majority of the use. It's not something that, you know, we have a train wreck and we've got to pull this EOP off the shelf to figure out. For all practical purposes, your staff and your response agencies would be most familiar because they had worked through this in the preparedness phase of this. So within the response phase, your concept of operation identifies both pre-impact and impact activities. So let's take the instance of a storm we know that is coming. The National Weather Service has predicted that we're going to have a hurricane that's going to come inland and it's going to affect that area. So in the pre-impact phase of a response, that's where your pre-planning takes place. That's where response resource, you're checking your generators, making sure the vehicles are fueled up, those types of things that fall into that SOG type thing for the agency, but are governed within your EOP, as well as public information releases and things of that nature. The impact phase of response is where you actually are directing these agencies that you have given these responsibilities to implement protective actions as necessary. At your emergency operations center level, if it's activated, that's where your resource allocation coordination would happen. If you only have 2 and you need 5, this is where they would begin to prioritize the allocation of the resources there. And it's also where you would begin planning for your recovery with that. Recovery needs to begin really and truly at the start of any incident to where an EOP would be activated. It also addresses recovery and mitigation, but typically preparedness and response are the 2 areas where an EOP becomes most effective. So with your functional annexes, in that area, we talk about direction, control, and coordination. And that relates to all incidents. It doesn't really come into describing how we're going to do it for this specific incident again to there. Again, I go back to, it's not an incident-specific playbook as much as it is the plan as to how we're going to put it all together when we do that. It directs the use of incident command within the National Incident Management System and that framework so that everyone knows how to work together and make an incident happen. So let's, as I referenced earlier, let's kind of walk through a real quick usage scenario for your EOP. Let's assume you guys have had it before, and let's assume that we have another railroad incident. Means that a train derails in town, and it's likely going to cause injuries and mass casualties. It's going to cause a hazardous materials release, most likely, whether it's the diesel fuel on board of the train itself, driving the engine, or whether it's the cargo that it's carrying. Very potentially could be a large-scale hazardous material cargo being carried through. It's likely going to cause traffic and crowd control. There are likely going to be public safety and security issues. Since the train track splits your town, access to both sides of the tracks becomes difficult. Discussion after the railroad incident was brought up to be included. That was one of the things that I believe the fire chief and all of the planning committee, in fact, mentioned that the Department of Transportation is looking at ways that they can make it accessible on both sides of the track for your public safety entities. So those are going to be areas that will have to be addressed. There will likely be infrastructure damages. When I remember from my one trip, and which, by the way, I can't wait to make another trip to your beautiful little town. I hope to bring my wife there and maybe spend the night in one of the bed and breakfasts there. Beautiful place. But the infrastructure damages are very likely to happen, as well as anticipated loss of downtown business and economic impact there. So how do we address that? Well, after the train derails, we say, well, first of all, we're going to have injuries and mass casualties. Within your EOP, we've already outlined who's going to be responsible for taking that role to handle the injuries and mass casualties. Fire department, I mean, likely the first thing that's going to happen is somebody's going to call 911 and they're going to say, we heard a large boom or we saw the train turn over and there's a lot of smoke and a lot of things going on. And the 911 center is likely going to dispatch your fire and police departments. They're going to arrive on scene and immediately they're going to implement their incident command and start to take their roles, which during the preparedness phase, they've already got identified within your emergency operations plan. So here with the injuries and mass casualty, health and medical, triage, treatment, and transportation of the sick and injured is identified to be assigned to the emergency medical services. EMS has plans and procedures in place to arrive and handle that kind of thing. The Waxhaw Fire Department is addressed there. They have medical first responders that would be there on scene immediately until EMS could come in for a larger force response. So this is the area that would govern for your injuries and mass casualty part of that train incident. So what about the hazardous materials release that has occurred? Well, your fire department is there. Their first responders are going to be working under that health and medical section from the operations section chief on scene or the incident commander that would be giving those directions. But we also have the hazardous materials annex that assigns any of the public health effects of a hazardous material release to the Waxhaw Fire Department and Union EMS, as well as the County Public Health Department to really look to those things. So that's a little how it will be. Each of those subsequent consequences that we could see become the hazards that we do. Now we can see easily that it doesn't necessarily have to be a railroad incident to cause all of those things to happen, or any or all of those. And that's the reason that an EOP does not take the role of an incident-specific playbook, but more so of a coordination document that is to be used in training and exercises and the overall way. Yes, absolutely pull it off the shelf when a disaster is coming that you can forecast, brush up on it, review it once a year, exercise it, pull out the different areas, go through the different parts of the plan and discuss that. But it is not intended to be that incident-specific playbook to where we would try to write a plan for each scenario that could possibly happen. So with that, again, we say that the EOP establishes that the concept of operations to address the consequences and the general coordination, and it sets forth the who of the incident and not the how of the incident. So with that, I would turn it over back over to Kevin, Mr. Mayor, your direction with that. Again, I will close out and give you actually a decent picture where I put a coat and tie on for a change with my contact information, and would be happy to try to answer any questions in addition to Kevin and Mr. Wells, who were part of the planning team.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Kevin, I'll let you field any questions if there are any from any of the commissioners. Any questions up? Very good. We're down to the short strokes. I see no hands there. We're down to the short strokes on this. Good job, guys, and everybody. I see David's on the screen with us. Thank you for joining us tonight, and all of your team's efforts to bring this to us and add a lot of strength to it. So, Kevin, job well done. I know this has been in process for over a year, I guess. Pretty close to it.
Yeah, from the initial deciding that we wanted to go this direction. So yeah, it's been right at about a year of planning for it. So
okay, well, board, what we've got here is the good schematic to go on to guide for us to react to if we had to. There's going to be changing bodies throughout the life of the town, and we've got a good document to refer to. But at this time, we're looking to, on the next meeting, I guess it is, Kevin and Jeff, to put this on for full approval. And I want everybody to remember that this is a living document. If we find anything that doesn't work for us at any given time, we go back and we adjust it. That's just the way it is. And so I want you all to understand that. And this has been a lot of work. So I applaud everybody, and Jeff and your team, and Kevin, your team, putting this all together and taking the time to go through it. Sometimes, like we did with the LDC, is line by line, question by question, but that's how answers come forth. So really do appreciate you guys taking the time to help us develop this, and Kevin and all the team, and input from the chief and his staff, and the fire marshal and fire chief. I'm sure they all had input to it, and will continue to have input to it, as again, it is a living document. So appreciate it, fellas. I really appreciate all the good work.
Thank you, Mayor. And we'll make sure we get this on the next agenda. It sounds like everybody's comfortable with moving forward. We'll give you a heads up that it will look a little bit different when it comes forward, because we have our communications team, Haven Creative, is going to incorporate that document into our own branding. So that's how it'll look. It'll look, have the Waxall colors and the Waxall feel to it. And that'll be how it's on your agenda next time.
Very good. Appreciate that. I see a question by Commissioner Simpson. Did you have your hand up?
The question I had, because I know we had this down as old business, if we really necessarily had to bring it back, or if that's something we could vote on tonight.
Well, I guess that would be at the pleasure of the board. I think, I guess it could be a Charlie question, is if they can vote on it, and if it's okay if we just format it into our branding with it being in this form right now.
Well, it depends if it's going to be an ordinance or not. But the only distinction is, if it's an ordinance, then it has to have a supermajority to approve it, and not a simple majority on the first night of introduction. But if it's voted on at the next meeting and it's in ordinance form, then it's only a simple majority.
Charlie, if you could go back, we lost you for a little bit on the feed, maybe mine or yours. Did everybody hear what he said?
Well, so it's an emergency operations plan. I don't.
If it's not going to be adopted as an ordinance, then they could go ahead and take action on it tonight if they wanted to.
I guess what my question was is where it was put under old business. Usually if it's presented, it's usually new business, and then we usually bring it back to approve. So that was just sort of how it was positioned in the agenda.
Yeah, we put it in old business because of the work session presentation, that's why we parked it there. But it's a plan, it's not an ordinance. So I guess that would be a decision of the board if you wanted to go ahead and
I'm fine either way, whatever my fellow colleagues want to do.
All right, and I lost part of that feed, so I'm having some difficulty here hearing it, but Charlie, I understand that there's no issue with agenda items or anything like that, or advertising, since it's not an ordinance, that we could basically take a roll call on consensus of what we have. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
I do have a question real quick. If it's an ordinance or adopted or approved as an ordinance, since it's a living document, if we change any wording or add to it, does that have to get re-voted on, or can that be changed on the fly as we need to?
You said if it's, Kevin, you said if it's an ordinance?
Yes.
If it's an ordinance, yeah, it would require an ordinance to amend an ordinance. But it would not require public hearings.
That's correct. And as we're heading down, as I'm hearing the conversation right now, it would not be that case. And so again, we could probably just go for a consensus roll call and adopt it, fold it into our business.
Mr. Mayor, if I may add, in all my years in working in emergency management across the state, I'm not aware of any emergency operations plan at the county or municipal level that would be adopted as an ordinance. Mainly for that very reason. It does not take the form of any type of authoritative document. It is not an enforcement document, anything of that nature. So certainly up to the town.
Very good. And it is a guide. So I would agree with that. If everybody is in accord with that, any comments, say them now. Otherwise, I'm going to ask for a little consensus roll call on it. Any questions, comments from any of the commissioners of the board?
We're still going to have it adjusted to the town of Waxhaw branding, right?
yes, we will do that.
Very good. All right, well, we're going to make it easy on ourselves with this one. So at this moment, I'm going to just do a consensus for this document, consensus roll call vote. So if you are in favor of taking that direction, that is what I'm asking for. So I'm going to start with the Mayor Pro Tem. And do we have your consensus on this?
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Westlake?
Tracy Westlake, aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Morey?
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Simpson?
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. We do have, let the record show that we have consensus on this EOP. Again, Kevin, David, Doug, thank you very much. And Jeff, thanks for coordinating all that. We have another document under our belt. So we're moving along, and hopefully as we grow in this thing, we won't have very many changes. There's always going to be some along the lines. And just as a comment, for those who may not be aware of, but the NCDOT Rail Division is in the works. It's a fully funded project to put an overcrossing over on Helms Road area. So inside of a couple of years, it looks like right now, if all goes according to schedule, we will have that ability for emergency access if by chance there's a stoppage or an obstruction on the track. So just figure that into your comments and make note, but we're growing up. It's a good thing.
Mr. Mayor, may I say a comment real quick, sir?
Absolutely.
Well, thank y'all for giving me a second. I just wanted to basically, address the mayor and the board and let you know that one of the things that we look for as a company while we are helping them design EOPs and those kind of things, we largely can see how successful we think they are going to be by their involvement into developing these. And I just wanted to compliment your staff, the planning team, and others that were involved with this, because they were very interactive. They were very vocal. This was not something where it's just some contractor is going to come in and throw some pieces of paper together. It was very well done by your staff to make sure that, you know, this is a great Waxhaw plan that will sit there and guide some actions and do some great things. And unfortunately, we don't see that everywhere, but we were very excited that your staff was very involved with that.
David, thank you very much for recognizing that. We've put ourselves through the task, not only on this, but with the LDC as well. So we are really endeavoring to become a very, very informed board, and that we can all at least pitch in when we have to on any part of our ordinances, laws, rules, whatever they are. But we really endeavor to be very, very informed. So thank you for that. And Jeff, I think that'll be another one that you can put in one of your municipal presentations down the line, add the LDC and now this to it. And people are still going to probably say, well, So, but I think one more kudos for all of us here at the town, both the leadership team and the staff at every level. They've all contributed. They've all worked very hard. We've sent them back to the drawing board 2,000 times, and they've come back still smiling. So thank you all for that, and we really appreciate that. Thanks for the comment.
Mayor, real quick, you had a consensus motion. I wanted to check with Charlie. Is that okay, or do we need a formal motion adopting the plan?
I don't think that's okay. I think you need a formal motion to approve the plan. Yeah, I was getting ready to jump in, but I was waiting because of all the wonderful comments. Before you close this, I wanted the speakers to say their thing, but it does need to be a motion to approve the plan, not just a consensus that we like it.
Okay, we can do that. So here we go again. We had all the comments, all the interested parties have spoken. So I will now ask for a motion to approve this plan.
I'll make the motion to approve and adopt the emergency operation plan as presented.
Great. So Commissioner Simpson has done that. Charlie's given the thumbs up. So we're going to go down the roll call again. I'll start with Mayor Pro Tem McMillan.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Tracy Westlake, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Morey.
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Very good. Well, hopefully, Charlie, on that, we're safe in dotting all the I's and crossing the T's on this little change. So appreciate the comments and the input.
It's now the town of Waxall emergency.
Oh, you went muted on me. You want to say that again?
I'm just going to say it's now officially the town of Waxall emergency operation plan in effect immediately.
Outstanding. Very good. Good work, everybody. Thank you for all that. A lot of hard work there. So thanks for all the input. All right, we'll move down to our new business, and we have a couple items that are carried forwards, and a couple items are for some new discussion. But we're going to start with the one is basically tag teaming on what was talked about previously, both at the retreat and also in the public hearing that we just had. So this is consideration of the findings resolution for refinancing the Waxall Police Department. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Town Manager Jeff Wells.
Thank you, Mayor. So as we mentioned earlier, this is the item on new business where staff will recommend that the board approve the findings resolution and keep the process moving forward in this multi-step process to refinance this debt. Certainly don't want to rehash anything that necessarily was said before, but Mitch is back on. If you have any additional questions from his presentation earlier, or any new questions that you may have. And again, we're just asking for the board to adopt the findings resolution to continue moving forward. Thank you.
Very good. And again, thanks to both of you for all the hard work on this thing. So we have a request from the staff to have a motion to approve the findings. And we've had discussion on it earlier, but I'll take a motion on this if everybody wants to put up the motion. Don't all jump.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution of findings for the refinancing of the Waxhaw Police Department building.
Again, the resolution number.
Resolution number 2021-008.
Very good, thank you. We have a motion coming forward to for resolution 2021-008. Motion is to approve. Any further discussion on it? So I'll do a roll call vote again, seeing no hands. Mayor Pro Tem McMillan.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Tracy Westlake, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Morey.
Commissioner Maury, aye.
Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Very good. Well, we've passed that unanimously, so thank you very much for that. Jeff and Mitch, thank you again for all the work in carrying this through and seeing it all the way to the end. We'll look forward to that closing date. May 19th is a projected close. So Jeff, if you can just keep us informed on that. We're looking
Got one
forward
more
to-
resolution to adopt. So that'll be coming in 2 weeks, and then we'll be able to close.
I thought you were scaring me with another one tonight, so. All right, don't confuse me. I'm rolling along. This is good. So, all right, well, thank you everyone for that. So that motion is approved. So we're going to drop down to consideration of resolution 2021-009. It's an endorsement of the town of Waxhaw's application for the American Association of Retired Persons Community Challenge Grant. We're going to go back to Matt Hubert. You're on the line with us here. If you could light up and join us over here. Appreciate that. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. So this is an item, kind of a last minute item, so I don't have a formal presentation, but I'm sure everyone has committed to memory last year's MTP that we created, and is probably one of the greatest documents ever created in the history of forever. And it did, in one of the most prioritized items, both per the town and per the residents, was improving the safety of crossings in our most highly trafficked areas, and that specifically is Providence Road. So part of our CIP planning going into next year is to install much safer crosswalks across key locations on Providence Road. And while we're preparing that, we also have been given an opportunity through the Association of Retired Persons to apply for a grant that would essentially pay or provide funding for the installation of the crosswalks that we do have planned for. So I'm going to quickly just go through what that would entail. That's not the one I want. Where's my Word document? Let's see. There's a resolution. Basically, are you seeing the crosswalk now?
There we go.
Okay. So this is an example of what we call a rapid rectangular flashing beacon. It's a hand-activated light system that, in addition to the crosswalk markings that you see on the pavement, those are traditional high visibility markings. We would also install these the signage and lights to make it a lot easier to engage vehicular attention when you're stopped at the crossing. Right now, I think some of our locations have those flags, and those are cute and served well back in the day. But I think we can all agree the traffic's gotten beyond that point where the flags are sufficient. And so now what we're proposing is to have these installed in addition to the pavement marking, where you walk up, press the button, the lights will activate. Drivers will see those lights shining and understand that someone is waiting to enter the crosswalk. Then when the cars stop, you can safely enter and cross before traffic resumes. So we've got these planned for 4 different locations as a part of the grant. And is that showing up in your share, the map, or do I need to reshare?
Yep.
It showed up?
Yeah, if you could blow it up a little bit bigger.
Okay, let's see what we got here. I don't know if it gets bigger than 200%. Let's see. Try 240.
Probably good enough if you could just describe the locations to us.
Sure. So if this is Broome Street, starting at the post office is the first location because that's already got a crosswalk and ADA sidewalks. It does not have the beacon. So in this location, we'd just be talking about and adding the beacon. Then as we move further north on Broome Street at Town Hall, there is the lanes only 2 lanes wide. And so we wouldn't have to do a refuge island in the middle. And that's another location where a beacon, the DOT would let us put one, and it's a short crossing. Sidewalks are already at grade. We would just have to do a little connecting piece to the curb line and install them at Town Hall. And that will serve, closer than certainly what the post office would offer. Then as we continue north, one of the intersections of value is at Alma Village, but that one, there's so much going on, it effectively being a 4-leg intersection because of the entrance to the commercial center. That's really better suited to a full signal, and one is proposed by DOT. There's a potential that more commercial development might install that signal sooner rather than later. So we are not attempting to put one here because it's going to need a dedicated signal, and those are about $100,000 in and of themselves. So it's not appropriate either for the scope of the CIP project or this potential grant. So that moves us further to the entrance to the Oaks at Red Oaks Trail. That one is a key point because there's no sidewalk on the west side of Providence, and we're not planning to put any because the widening is going to come in and do that the end of this decade. Hopefully we can get that moved up, but that's where it stands right now. And it's just not necessarily worth the time and expense to put something in that we know is going to get torn out. So here's another good location where we simply put the crosswalk, the beacon, to help residents from the Oaks get across the street safely to where sidewalk does begin to connect them with the retail centers and ultimately downtown. And then finally, the last location is at Kingston subdivision for the same reason, enable those residents from the residential section to get across the street to where a sidewalk does exist in a safe manner without kind of risking their life or waiting for gaps that during peak hours just aren't there. So, and then that gets us to the resolution itself. And basically says you, as the board, would agree to engage in a financial commitment in cooperation with the AARP organization to provide a 20% local match, which is fairly typical in these types of agreements. And so we want to raise it as much as possible to be effective and a good candidate, knowing that we're going to compete with projects across the state for this. And so again, the board would agree that we would engage in a fiscal sharing. Again, so our match would be $24,000, at 20% of the overall $120,000 estimate. And again, it's not just the pavement markings and the beacons themselves, but there's going to be a certain degree of additional sidewalk ramps and making sure everything is ADA compliant for any disabled users to actively be able to use these as well. And at that, I'll open to any questions.
Great, thanks, Matt. That's quick question that I might have. So I guess we're looking at our contribution. Would it be about $6,000 a location? It's kind of what we're looking at with the four. So, and what's the timing of this one? Do you know?
So we have to submit this this week, which is why we didn't really have a whole lot of time to put together a formal presentation. And then I believe they will do all their due diligence and make an award or an announcement around July. And then we have until November, I want to say 21st or the 14th. There's a couple of them we're doing, and all the dates are jumbled, but I believe the mid-November we would have to have this in place. And I think we're well on the way to being able to meet that goal. That's why something of limited complexity is what we're attempting to do here, and nothing too extravagant, understanding the time constraints we're under.
Okay, and this is obviously a grant that we're up for, and so you'd be looking for tonight for us to basically commit to the 24,000 should we be awarded the grant.
Right, basically agree to endorse the resolution, approve the resolution, and then that will go into the package that we submit, showing in good faith that we are the organization sponsoring and behind this, and it does have legs if it was selected to be followed through to completion.
Very good. All right, board, any questions for our town engineer? Commissioner Westlake.
I just have one question. So does this match up with the eventual widening of 16 as far as locations for crosswalks?
Well, it's not necessarily intended to continue on. I think that design is still only at 25%. So if it's in place well in advance, they would have to consider, and ultimately they have to, when they put in their medians, they have to allow for pedestrian access. So without the plans in front of me, I would expect that a lot of these crossings are already planned in some form. It's just we wouldn't want to wait till 2028 per se to get these in place, understanding the importance for people, certainly under COVID, to have this opportunity for safe crossings.
Brings up a question, Matt, from me of a little bit. So much like we did at the intersection of Waxall, Marvin, and Kensington, we paid for some additional setbacks, if you will. Is this part of the consideration for this too? Could they be woven into the plan that DOT's got?
Right, and I think it provides a good precedent. They have certainly would have to, if they're not already well planned for in this, and I would expect that they are, certainly this raises the consideration that they have to make as part of their complete streets. They wouldn't take out something without putting something similar in place. And again, if I had more time, I think we could have referred to that plan and I can certainly bring it back to show you at some point, or maybe in a work session, what the current status of that plan is to help everyone understand what the PED conditions are. But traditionally, they plan for not just the vehicular improvements, but also for pedestrian enhancements as well at the same level of design consideration.
Okay, and I'm sure that as we move forward to this, should this be awarded to us this way, we would certainly have some significant involvement in whatever DOT's final draft is on it, with recognizing that if these are in play before they're ready, that they're the ones that are going to have to adjust their budgets.
Yeah, and again, this is a stopgap measure. It's a simple and quick, efficient, cost-effective method to address the issue, which really is to be solved by the much larger. I mean, that project's $84 million right now and probably rising. So I don't think it's going to be left behind or forgotten. It'll actually improve what we're doing here by the time it gets here.
Well, I think the investment by the town to kind of, we're waiting for DOT to be able to do this, 24 grand if we got this award. 24 grand is a small investment that can be repurposed, at least in parts, for our future, but it gives our citizens a bit of a safety net now, or by third quarter this year.
Absolutely. No, I can't do anything fast enough to improve the situation we have pedestrian versus traffic wise. And so something like this is, we're gonna continue to prosecute these kinds of improvements as fast as humanly possible. Cost is really nothing compared to the safety of the pedestrians. And certainly we know traffic is not going to kind of solve itself. We've got to be the tip of the spear, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that. Any questions by any of the board members on this? All right, seeing none. Matt, thank you very much. This time I'm going to ask someone to bring up a motion on this item. So a motion in consideration of resolution 2021009. Who's brave?
Motion to approve resolution 2021009, endorsing the town of Waxhaw's application for the AARP Community Challenge Grant in the amount of $120,000 with a 20% local match of $24,000.
Thank you, Commissioner Westlake. I appreciate that. So we have a motion up to approve the endorsing of this application. So roll call vote as we go along. I'm going to start again with Mayor Pro Tem McMillan.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Morey.
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Back to Commissioner Westlake.
Commissioner Westlake, aye.
Very good, unanimous again. Thank you very much for this. We'll look forward to trailing that, Matt, and just keep us posted on where we might lie on this. That'll be great. It'll be a great contribution to the town for the safety of our residents. I myself have tried to cross the street more than once at certain hours. Thank goodness I'm still fast. So hopefully it'll help.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Matt. Okay, we're gonna go up to the next one here. We have kind of a new item for us. It's consideration of resolution 2021010. And we're talking two of them here, 011. And this is a motion in support of the nomination of a citizen input item. So Jeff, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. So Lowe's Home Improvement is awarding $10 million to 100 community projects across the United States. One of our town residents, Mr. Jim Murray, made the town aware of this opportunity. In order to be eligible for the grant, a resident must nominate the projects, and a government entity must be willing to accept financial responsibility for completion of the project. So we have worked with Mr. Murray to identify two projects that would fit this opportunity well: drainage repairs at Nesbitt Park and greenway repairs using FlexPave technology along the 12-mile greenway. Both projects can be delivered quickly, which is why they were chosen to meet Lowe's expeditious timeline of completion by October 31st, 2021. This is a great opportunity for the town to partner with a citizen who has proactively taken some initiative to seek out this grant, and he wants to do his part in making our community better. We are scheduled to meet with Mr. Murray later this week. We will provide him all the information that he needs. The way that you make the nominations is through their website portal. So we've got it set up. Dina and I will be working with him on Thursday morning here at Town Hall. We'll have all the information laid out for him and to copy and paste and plug it in. He's been just awesome to work with in this process. Staff is recommending approving the two resolutions in support of nominations for this grant. Dina and Matt, I think if Nick would bring them up, they can answer any specific questions that you might have on the two projects better than I can, as far as what the FlexPave is, what it does, or any specific questions on the drainage issues out at Nesbitt Park. But we're happy to throw our opportunity in this hat. And I'll say that even if we do not receive this opportunity. Both of these projects will be programmed into your upcoming capital improvement plan. So our intention is, whether we get this project awarded or not, is to do it, but we certainly will take any opportunity that we have to try to get a grant to help pay for these things. That just allows us, as the mayor said, to move one other project forward that much quicker, and we'll be happy to do that. And so if you have any questions, we'll certainly be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff. No, we know this had quite a short fuse. This was something that came up, and maybe I see Commissioner Simpson, maybe you could guide us down that path and how this came to us.
Sure, thank you. Just to let everyone know, and even those watching at home, Mr. Muri, I actually had an opportunity to meet him during the mayor's town hall in March. And he was a very engaged citizen. He actually participated in the town hall, got up and made some comments and spoke. At the end of the meeting, I got a chance to speak with him a little bit and learn a little bit more about him. And at the end of March, he actually reached out to me and sent me a message asking if there was a community project that we could get behind. And he sent me the link to the Lowe's Hometown Community Project, which I turned around and sent to Jeff. And Jeff and the staff put something together like lickety split. Like, it was amazing, the job that they came and identified these two projects that, I went back and kind of spoke with Mr. Muri and coordinated with him and kind of got everyone together to help facilitate this. And I just want to say, so anybody who's watching, to encourage any residents to kind of come forward to work together and to partner to help us all, make Waxhaw where we want to love and grow and continue to be proud.
Well, thank you for that. I was aware of this through the commissioner and the citizen there. He spoke that night at my town hall. So again, kudos to all of you, all of us, for having a citizen come and engage with us, not only at the town hall, but then decide to move something else forward for the benefit of the town. So, Mr. Muri, if you're being able to watch us later on, hats off to you for bringing this to us. And again, the town staff, this was a very short fuse to get this application ready. In fact, it's getting ready to go. I think Thursday, Jeff, is the deadline for submittal. And should we get this, again, more collaboration with our residents in town. So pretty proud of that, guys. And that's a nice thing to consider. So on that, any questions for either the town manager or Commissioner Simpson on how this came to us, and any questions on it at all? Okay, we'll see none. It looks like a great thing. Looks like we're up to request from you the motion to approve two separate resolutions. So I'm going to ask to go for a resolution on the first one on the 2021-010. So if I can have a resolution to move that one to the next step. Maybe request for a motion rather.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-010 in support of the Lowe's Hometown Grant application.
Very good. The motion is up for the first resolution. So roll call vote on this one as well. Start again with Mayor Pro Tem.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Commissioner Westlake, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Morey.
Commissioner Morey, aye.
And Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Very good. Chalk that one down. So that's a nice one. We have another request for a motion to approve the second resolution for the greenway repairs at 12 Mile Creek. Do I have a motion for that resolution?
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2021-011 in supporting of Lowe's Hometown Grant application.
Very good. She's beating you all to the punch here. So very good. So we have a motion up to approve this second resolution. So roll call vote again, starting with Mayor Pro Tem McMillan.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Commissioner Westlake, aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Morey,
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Thank you, board, for those. Another one for the books here. So thank you for considering that. And again, kudos to our citizen for considering us and sponsoring us to bring a project like this forward. Again, it just shows the level of respect that the citizens have for us to be able to come to and feel good about coming to us as a board to bring something like this for the benefit of the town. So thanks for all that effort. All right, we're going to move down to J4, which is a carryover from the town retreat. And it's a motion to approval of the contract for basically the management of the capital project ordinance and budget amendment. So I'm going to turn this back over to the town manager and we can go through that. So Jeff, it's back to you.
Thank you, Mayor. ADW Architects completed the pre-design studies for both the Public Services and Parks and Recreation Operations Center and Town Hall at the intersection of Kensington Road and Waxhaw, Kensington Drive and Waxhaw Marvin Road, known as the town campus. Now that the study is done, the town is ready to consider contracting with ADW for the design and construction administration for the project. Staff has reviewed the contract along with our town attorney and find it to be satisfactory. This is the direction staff received at both the retreat and the recent 2x2s. The total project schedule is approximately 2 years. It would be roughly 9 to 11 months for the design phase, and then up to 14 months for the construction phase is what it is estimated to be right now. Staff recommends approval of 3 motions to adopt the ordinance establishing the capital project fund for town campus, the budget amendment for town campus in the amount of $976,800, and then the contract with ADW Architects for design and construction administration of the project. And we have Mr. Jim Powell from ADW Architects on tonight, as well as Mitch again, who has also helped us through this process to work through and make sure that we are financially able to do this as we are. And can't say enough how much it's been a pleasure working with both Mitch and ADW Architects. Have just been fantastic through this process to this point. And certainly want to allow the board to have any questions that they have, and if ADW Architects can answer any of them, or Mitch, let them chime in as well. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Jeff. Jim, welcome. Mitch, I know you're still online with us here, but I want to say thanks for all the hard work. This has been quite a process. Your presentation through the request process early on led us to you to start with. So, thank you very much for hanging in there and doing such a great job in presenting this from the retreat going forward. I show that video to everybody I can. It's just it's a great tool for us to be able to use. So at this point, what I want to ask, if there are any questions from the board of these 2 gentlemen going forward. Got one hand, I see Commissioner Simpson. Big surprise. There we go.
The question I have, and I just want to make sure I understand what you said, Jeff. So the design is 9 to 11 months, and then an additional 11 to 12 months to build it and have it all completed.
That's correct. We're looking at an estimate of 2 years to completion.
Good. It can't happen soon enough for me.
Right. We're getting down to the short strokes of being where I'm at right now. So, and we're running out of room, as some of you may have realized that the town manager is having to divide up some conference room space so we can house a couple of new people coming on board. So we're busting at the seams.
Just another comment is, as I know our current location, we're leased. When does our lease expire? Does it all kind of terminate around the same time?
No, unfortunately not. It terminates in November of 2022. So we will probably have to hope that we can do one more year of lease there. I would feel comfortable with that. I think that would be the smart play in case there is any time time constraints that we run into on the project. So that would be the safe thing to do. And but if this gets approved and we know we're going in this direction, I think then we would go ahead and approach our landlords to make sure that that is an option that we want to explore moving forward.
And if I remember right, we do have some capacity for extending the lease on a request basis, but there are really no guarantees on that. And as we keep on growing and adding staff to complete all the things that we're doing, we'll be dividing up the kitchen by next week, I'm sure, the way this is going. So we need to make this move. So that's very good. So any other questions for Jim or Mitch on the design work or any of the finance? Again, okay, seeing none, you guys did a great job. Presentation speaks for itself along the way. So I appreciate both of you guys, Jim and Mitch, for bringing this forward to us and showing us the way that we can accomplish this. So thank you very much on that. So board, we have by procedure, we have 3 motions to consider tonight. They all just kind of dovetail one into the other. But the first one is a motion to adopt the ordinance 2021005. Establishing a capital project fund. 402 is a line item for the town campus project. Do I have a motion for this? Be brave, you guys.
I'll make the motion.
I'm going to hand it over to the Mayor Pro Tem. How's that? So,
Perfect.
Mayor Pro Tem making a motion.
I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance 2021005, establishing a capital project fund 402 for the town campus project.
Very good. Thank you for that. So we're going to go to a roll call vote on this as well. I'll work backwards this time. Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Commissioner Morey.
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Commissioner Westlake, aye.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
All right, very good on that. So second step in this motion is to approve the budget amendment for the town campus from the unassigned fund balance to the project fund, which will begin 402. So do I have a motion on this one?
I'll make a motion to approve a budget amendment for a town campus in the amount of $976,800 from unassigned fund balance to project fund 402.
Very good. We have the motion up. I'm going to start with Commissioner Westlake.
Commissioner Westlake, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Morey.
Morey, aye.
Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Back to Mayor Pro Tem.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Very good. Go down to the third part of this, motion to approve the contract with ADW for its design and construction administration of the town campus at Waxall Marvin Road. Do I have a motion on this one?
I make a motion to approve the contract with ADW Architects for design and construction administration of the town campus to be located at 4220 Waxall Marvin Road.
Very good. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm going to roll call it again. Commissioner Westlake.
Commissioner Westlake, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Morey.
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Go back to Mayor Pro Tem.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Congratulations, guys. We're on our way. All 3 motions approved. Congratulations to all the team that's worked on this. Been a lot of effort, a lot of input from everybody. I know the studies and trying to figure out the square footage uses, how many people we're going to eventually house. We have some room to grow in this over a long period of time, so we need to. So appreciate all that. Appreciate everybody on the board for considering this, and it's time for us to move into the next steps of who we are. So thank you all very much for this. All right, we're going to move over to town leadership reports. I'm going to start with the town manager. Once again, Jeff, floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just two things tonight. First, we had our Shred It Day, which was this past Saturday. I was there in person with several of our other staff members, including Melody, Dina, and Todd, and Billy from Parks and Rec. So it was a success. I believe the truck was able to hold about 40 bins, and we collected 27 on that day in that 3-hour period. So I think we did pretty good. I think it was successful enough that we plan to do another one, at least one, if not two, annually. We had a lot of appreciative people out there. And secondly, another town spring cleanup is complete. And as usual, a lot of items were picked up. We've not received the quantities yet, but it looks to be that we've picked up just as much, if not more, than last time. And so one of the discussion topics while Todd and I were out at the Shred Day on Saturday was how to evolve this event moving forward. He and I agree that I think that we've kind of grown out of the event as it currently is. And we're going to look to accomplish this service, I think, in a different way moving forward. I'm just a bit concerned about how our town looks for a week or two while this is going on. And I think there's probably a different way to do that and still providing the same service moving forward. So we're going to put our heads together. There's some different options that we can do. And I think we're going to try to figure out a different way to do it so that we don't have stuff piled up like that over a week or two moving forward. So that's the thought process from your public services director and your town manager there. Could be something. I know some municipalities, they pick up those things on an ongoing basis. They have a truck readily available. People call if they have, a couple of mattresses that need to get picked up. They make the call, schedule a time. Somebody comes out and gets it and hauls it away. So that could be an option there. We'll start batting around some different things there and figure out how we can evolve that. And make it more consumer with how we are as a community now. I think it's time. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, along those same lines, is there a way with the new website design that they would be able to put in a request or a form that way?
Yeah, I think that there's a number of different ways that that we can accomplish it. So I think we're open to all ideas moving forward. But it seems like too that that all the stuff that lands in people's yards, I would be amazed if all of it came from that person's house sometimes. So it's just evolved, I think, into something that we need to address and change for the better.
All right, thanks for that, Jeff. Yeah, I know I've had some comments from some of the residents around. I mean, you're right. You'd think that they emptied out the entire house. So a lot of stuff that sits out there for a long time. And what some of the comments have been is, we get people and they start to look at, the license plates and where they're from. And they're from all over, people coming in and pilfering it before the scheduled pickup. And so that brings a whole bunch of people into the neighborhoods that aren't normally there. So people are getting a little concerned about that. So thanks for thinking about that. I'm sure we'll figure out how to do it either by some way or another, some tactic. So appreciate the concern.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. So if that's all you have, I got Miss Dina still back on the line. There you are, Miss Dina. Your turn again.
All righty, get my shared screen up. Can everyone see the program guide? Awesome. All right. So I know you missed me last time. I wasn't there to give my lovely update. But so I'm going to do a jam back on this one. Okay. So here we go. Our new program guide is out and ready. We've got an overwhelming response to the upcoming classes. the majority of the classes are already full or have waiting lists. So we're looking at adding some more classes with those certain events. So be prepared. We're working on that as we go. But always, you can register on Rec Desk. And if you have any questions, just call the office and we can walk you through it or help you register in-house as well, okay? So classes. Miss Amy is transitioning into our park side of the department. She's still helping out with the walking groups on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're doing awesome. More people are showing up every time. So that's a cool thing to get healthy, especially getting ready for the spring and the summer. Mixology class, both classes are full. We're looking at adding another class on that. So keep up looking at the website for those updates. Also, our family pottery classes are full as well. We are adding that. And we're working with Miss Kristen on the upcoming date. So look for that coming soon. We have our security class. That is, we added 2 different times per class. So hopefully that will help with, because that class fills up pretty fast. So I know that the 6 o'clock is almost full, but the 4 o'clock still has room. So come and join us. We are bringing back senior coffee. So we took a little survey with our local seniors and they are ready to come back. They miss the camaraderie. They miss their game day. So we're going to start off with game day and make sure that we're socially distanced in the McDonald house and making sure that we're keeping all of our safety protocols in place. But they are super ready to come back. So we are bringing that back at the end of the month. Something new this time, we are doing a Mother's Day mini tea under the water tower, water tank area. And the noon session is already full. We have a couple more spaces in the, we added another time at 1:30. Please join us. It's going to be really cool. It's an awesome partnership with one of our local businesses, the White Rabbit Cafe. And again, this is another opportunity. We love working with businesses and our community. So please give us a call. We'd love to do that partnership. Upcoming hero project. So tomorrow they're doing finger painting. So we're going to get messy. And please come out and join us at Barnes Park. And next week, to help celebrate Earth Day, we're doing Earth Day mural at the Community Corner Park and some other fun planting activities. This Friday is Wonder Woman. So please, we still have some room in our pod system. So we're having it at Waxall Elementary, and we're doing not a drive-in this time. We're going to try something new. We're going to do a pod, so you can have your own family pod. And then we also have smaller pods for just couples. So we'd love to have you out. And again, we still have room available for this event. This Saturday, so we have a new event coming to us to keep Waxall beautiful. This Saturday, we're at 8 o'clock. We are doing a litter sweep with coordination with the North Carolina DOT cleanup effort for the month of April. We would love to have groups, individuals. You're just going to come and spend a couple hours with us. So we're going to focus on some more challenging streets that need a little more TLC and to get them all nice and shiny for the spring. So we'd love for you to come out. You can register ahead of time for individuals or groups, or you can register the morning of. We'd love to have you. And of course, if you have any questions, give the office a call and we'll help you walk through that. And we'll have all of the supporting equipment and supplies you need to be successful at that. Upcoming events. At the end of the month, we're having another skate night. The fall, they just loved it. And so we decided to bring it back. Please join us for that. It's a great night. We've got some community partners with some businesses. Mr. Tom Rizzer's making some awesome trophies for us. So it's a wonderful, great community involvement program. So please come and join us. Update on the park. So we are almost ready to turn in our part of grant. We're finishing up those last minute details. We got the green light from our representative that looked over the grant about a week and a half ago. And so we made all those wonderful changes and ready to go. So this is due the beginning of May. So we're right on track on that. We are getting through our construction documents as well for the first phase of the park and finishing up those designs. So we will possibly have some information to give out at a work session next time or our regular meeting. So you can have some concepts of kind of what the buildings are going to look like and the look and feel the playground's going to look like as well. So we're excited. Community spirit. So with our sponsorship program, we were gracious enough, all of a sudden, everybody started getting involved. So we're super excited about that. So Town Creek, Daresdale Garden, and the McDonald House are already taken for the next year or 2 years. And we're looking for sponsors to help with our other facilities as well. So there's a list of open facilities. So please take note of that. And we'd love to partner with you. So South Charlotte Dog Rescue is going to take over the Town Creek Park to help out with that beautification and helping out with mulch with the flower beds and the playground, and just to help, keep it nice and tidy. So they come out 4 times a year. We're really excited about that. And the Waxhaw Women's Club came forth and are going to help out with the Daresdale Garden. They're actually doing their cleanup day on this Friday morning. So again, wonderful engagement with the community with this program. And I look to see for more partners coming in soon. With that being said, we love working with partnerships. So please come talk to me. We can find a way to enrich our community together. And I really do appreciate everyone because I get feedback usually daily, and that's something how we grow. So I would love to have that partnership with our citizens and our community leaders. We are still in phase 3, going through all those protocols, keeping everything clean, and doing all of our COVID related items at events and programs. And I'll leave you with our vision and mission as always. If you have any questions, I will be glad to answer them.
I have one, Dina, going back to the movie night thing. When you talked about the pods, how will they view them? Or is the town setting up the pods, or are they bringing their own laptops? How is that going to work?
Yes, sir. So we're, just like the drive-in movies, we'll have the big screen and have all the amenities out there. The pod system is basically, we're setting up family circles and then couple circles. And then we're making sure that they're socially distant between everybody. And then when you come in and sign in, you'll see me probably in my Wonder Woman costume. I'm not gonna lie about it. And then, and I'll get you checked in, and we'll get you to your either family or couple pod, and you do bring your own chairs to sit in or your own blanket. And we're going to be at the back bus lot at Waxall Elementary. So that was another thing that we're trying to share the love on where we place things. So that was an awesome partnership with the school.
That's great. That's good to hear. People are anxious to get outside, that's for sure. So the weather is cooperating.
Keep your fingers crossed.
That's right. Anyway, all right. Any questions for Miss Dina? Oh, screen moved around on it. Seeing none, Dina, thank you very much. I know you're excited about it. I expect to see you with that gold shovel in your hand in September. So on the park. So that's, we're moving towards a good goal. So thank you for tying the community together all the time. They really do rely on you, and more programs that we can help you develop. We're certainly up to look at them really, really hard. So thank you for all you do. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. At this point, any comments, reports from any of the commissioners? Looking across the board, we're probably all anxious to depart here. Any comment from Town Attorney Buckley? I'll give you an audience here for a moment.
Well, thank you, Mayor, but I'll do everybody a favor and say I have no report, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I think Matt's probably smiling over on the other side of the screen over there. So,
Well,
someday
he had to do his cheerleader act for MTP again.
he did. All right. All right. So, with all that said, we've had a very successful meeting tonight, everyone. I appreciate all the effort by the entire team and all the consultants and all the staff. We're moving forward in a very good direction, and I applaud all of you for the engagement, both from you personally and also making those relationships back out in the community. So thank you very much for all of that. And with that, there's nothing on the closed session for tonight, so I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Very good. We have a motion from Commissioner Simpson to adjourn. I'm going to start with top again. Roll call. Mayor Pro Tem.
Brenda McMillan, aye.
Commissioner Morey.
Commissioner Morey, aye.
Commissioner Hall.
Commissioner Hall, aye.
Commissioner Westlake.
Commissioner Westlake, aye.
And Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, aye.
Very good. It's a wrap, everybody. Say goodnight, Mary Ellen. Bye-bye.
Be safe, everybody.
Bye.